Mel, you're on.
Hello there, everybody. This is Mel Allen. Welcome to This Week in Baseball. Metrodome Magic plus that old Minnesota curse conspire to do in the Detroit Tigers. Talking with the great Bob Gibson.
When I look back on '68, it seems as though I'm looking back at somebody else's career because it was something that only happens once in a lifetime.
And it's standing room only in Buffalo, where the Bisons played to record-setting crowds. So squeeze in, one and all, because it's time to pin down This Week in Baseball. The West Division leading Dodgers have chased away the ghosts of the last two seasons. But when the East Division leading Mets came to town, David Cone brought back old demons. So did Dwight Gooden. In Game 1, Doc snapped L.A.'s 7-game win streak, raising his career record at Dodger Stadium to 4-0. Behind Cone, the Mets won next night and then swept the series, making it 8 out of 9 against L.A., including wins in all 6 games at Dodger Stadium. Dodger bats may have gone flat against the Mets, but why worry with a pitching staff that's been something else? Oral Hershiser has led the way with Cy Young-type numbers, a 17-8 record, and an ERA below 3. Then there's the surprising turnaround of Tim Leary, who's got a new lease on life since his off-season stint in the Mexican leagues. Last season, Leary went 3-11, but this year, 14-8 with a league-leading 6 shutouts.
The pitching staff has been the biggest improvement in the Dodgers over this year. We now have legitimate starters. We had young guys, Belcher and Leary, coming out of spring training that didn't know what they were really capable of doing. And now you can see how confident they really are when they stand out there. Leary knows he can win. The ball club feels like they can win. Really, all of our starters, the team feels very confident that we've got a good chance of winning, and then that's what it's all about.
From top to bottom, along with our bullpen, we have, if not the best, one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. If we just score a couple runs, it's usually enough to win the game.
True enough in this game against the Expos when L.A. scored twice in the ninth. Kurt Gibson's hustle scoring the second run.
1-2 pitch. Right on through the catcher into the screen. Gibson comes to third. He's going to try to score. The play at the plate. He scores and the ball game is over. Kurt Gibson on a wild pitch scores from second base. The Dodgers win 4-3.
I've been in this game a lot of years, and I have yet to see a guy score from second base on a passed ball or a wild pitch where it meant the end of the game. I mean, I've seen a guy score from second base on that, but I've never seen it where it meant the ball game and the guy scored and the game ended there. And the amazing thing about Gibson is that the thing that I love about him is that when we win the ball game and if he goes 0 for 4, he's the happiest guy in the clubhouse. And I've seen him when he's going 3 or 4 hits and we've lost the game, and he's the most ejected player. And that's a pretty good thing to have on your ball club. All the players think the world of him. He's a leader. He's inspired us. And I'll tell you something, I am so proud and privileged to have him as a ball player.
It seems the new-look Dodgers are more optimistic than ever, especially after filling the key left-handed pitching slot with ex-Cardinal John Tudor.
I think all the pieces are there, and where we finish will be dictated by the race. But I'll tell you one thing, the ball club will battle every step of the way. There's no question about that.
Any pitch could be the last. Reardon has it. The Minnesota Twins are in the World Series.
Picking up where they left off in last year's playoffs, the Twins have continued their mastery over the Detroit Tigers, this year beating them 11 straight times. Kirby Puckett has done much of the damage, hitting better than .400 against Detroit. And with a .350 overall average, he's contending for the batting lead with Wade Boggs. Boggs, a hitter with a whole different style.
Like night and day. You know, Wade's the kind of guy, he's going to walk 100 times a year, and he's going to get his 200 hits. And myself, on the other hand, I'm up there swinging at everything that's close. I'm hacking, and I'm the kind of hitter, when I get hot, I swing at bad balls, I swing at good balls, and I seem to put a lot of things in play and get a lot of production out of it. So that's the kind of hitter I've been all my life, and I think it's too late to change now.
I'll tell you this, there's no need for Frank Viola to change. This season, the 19-game winner has gone a perfect 3-0 against the Tigers. Detroit's biggest nemesis has been Kent Herbeck, who's confounded Tiger pitching for 6 home runs.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. Long drive, deep right. That is gone. A 2-run homer for Kent Herbeck. And the Minnesota Twins win in 10 innings.
This game winner extended Herbeck's record indoor home run total to 100. It also raised his overall season total to 24 homers, all of which have come against the East. And get this, in winning 11 of 12 from the shaky Tigers, the Twins outscored the East Division leaders 65-18.
I don't think you ever get used to the nervousness, the tension of shutting the door.
Got him. And the Brewers explode from the dugout. A tremendous come-from-behind win and steal one from the Twins.
A good reliever may be hard to find, but with Dan Plesac, Milwaukee's search is over. Since coming up and turning reliever in 85, Plesac has been mighty effective thanks to a simple diet of hot stuff.
Basically, I'm a two-pitch pitcher, fastball, slider. The big key for me is getting ahead, where I can throw my slider, make people chase bad pitches, and I've been able to do that for the most part.
Already this season, Plesac has compiled 29 saves, more than either of his previous 2 seasons, and third most in the majors.
I think he keeps things in very good perspective, and he has fun, and then he's got a great arm. So if he keeps things in perspective and enjoys what he's doing, he's got a pretty good chance to go out there and have good stuff every time.
He's used me well. When you're used properly, you're not overused, you're fresh. And when I'm fresh, hopefully I'll throw the ball well, and I have up to this point.
Plesac has been extremely consistent, a habit that sometimes leads to unreasonable expectations.
I try to go out and be perfect every time. I want to pitch 1 inning. I want to get it 1, 2, 3. I want to get it done fast. But you have to tip your hat once in a while. You're not going to get them every time. And that's the tough thing. You're going to throw a handful of bad ones in, and then I've done that. But you just hope that the bad ones last 1 or 2 times. Then you can string together 8 or 9, possibly 10 good outings in a row. If I can convert 8 out of 10 saves, I'm doing a very good job.
Time now for this week's quiz, brought to you by Chevrolet. Go ahead, Storm.
Hi, I'm Storm Davis of the Oakland Athletics. This year, our team could have 3 15-game winners. Can you name the last team to have 3 20-game winners?
I shall not seek, and I will not accept.
I have a dream that one day you announce on to Chicago and let's win there. Our campaign declares the presidency of the United States in 1968 in the tournament.
In 1968, America was a nation embattled. There was war in Vietnam. There was rioting at home. Still, one aspect of the American landscape stayed pretty much the same as the game of baseball continued to capture the imagination of millions. As we continue our look back to baseball 1968, we're joined again by rock and roll musician John Fogerty.
Thanks, Mal. Bob Gibson once explained his 1968 performance by saying that every athlete has one great season, and this was his. Of course, when you look at the facts, you see just how remarkable it was. He was never taken out of a game in the middle of an inning. And the record that places Gibson alongside the baseball immortals is the astonishing ERA of 1.12, the lowest in modern baseball history.
Well, I don't know that it's unreachable. If it is unreachable, the only reason is because you won't find anybody pitching 300 innings anymore. I think there are plenty of guys that are capable of having that type of earned run average, but I don't know if it's over a span of 300 innings. Back in those days, that's the way it was. You pitched 9 innings, and what really made you angry if you had a reputation of being a guy that couldn't finish a ball game. So the game has changed in that respect.
Bob Gibson had no such reputation. In 1968, he finished 28 of 34 games. And on his way to compiling an ERA of 1.12, had a span in which he won 15 consecutive games, 10 of those by shutout.
You don't become a good pitcher until you can hit especially the outside corner, because the outside corner is the corner where you get guys out. You talk to a lot of young pitchers and they think that it's really cute to be able to jam guys. Well, it is, but when you make mistakes on the inside, that's when you really get hurt. You make some mistakes on the outside, you just make sure you make the mistakes away from the plate, not on the plate.
In '68, Gibson made hardly any mistakes. Of the 9 games he lost, the Cardinals backed him with just 11 runs.
The thing I remember most about the '68 season is I didn't do anything wrong too often, and that's unusual. When you go out there with the confidence that you can do anything you want to do, and I did. I guess what I remember more than anything else of the '68 season is that I lost 9 games, and which is unbelievable with the way I was pitching. Anytime I went out on the hill, it was Sandy Koufax, it was Juan Marshall, it was Ferguson Jenkins, just about the best pitcher on the opposition staff. And I got beat 1-0 by Gaylord Perry, and he pitched a no-hitter. I never did look at it as though I was pitching against Sandy Koufax because I couldn't figure he'd hit me anyway. I was more concerned about the hitters than I was the guy that I was pitching against.
To the hitters, Gibson was a mass of intimidation who relied on devastating fastballs and sliders, and of course the occasional knockdown.
I do have in my scrapbook, once I did go 4 for 4 off of him, and I have that framed. I was up 5 times, and I remember Frank Robinson telling me that you'll never go 5 for 5. I says, why not? Because he's going to hit you the 5th time, and in the box score, it's got HBP, Harper, hit by a pitcher.
I didn't throw at many guys. I had pretty good control. If I threw at them, I hit them. So I wasn't throwing at them. I might have been trying to knock them back, which that's what I did.
Gibson was never more intimidating than in Game 1 of the 1968 World Series. In beating the Tigers and 31-game winner Denny McClain, he struck out a series record 17 batters.
That was not important. Those things become important when you get out of the game for 20 years. At the time, it was not important. Winning the game and winning the World Series, that was important. The strikeouts weren't a real big deal with me. I just happened to have a lot of them, but it was not a big deal. A lot of people look at strikeouts as a big achievement. Winning the ball game is the achievement. You can get 20 strikeouts and lose, and that's no fun.
It was the best baseball game I've ever seen pitched in my life. And I defy anybody anywhere to tell me that anybody's ever pitched a game that good in the history of the game. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it was a perfect no-hitter in a World Series. I don't care how many no-hitters a guy throws in his lifetime. Nobody ever threw as hard and threw better strikes than Gibson did that day. I mean, when I went up, I was trying to listen for the ball after I couldn't see the first strike. He was just overpowering that day.
I think I had an advantage, somewhat of an advantage in the World Series because going into the World Series, the report on me, Bob Gibson, fastball pitcher, 95, 96, and what they didn't write was that my best pitch was my slider. And the reason I struck out so many guys is because they were looking for the fastball and I was throwing sliders.
Gibson would end up with a series record 35 strikeouts. He would also take home the Cy Young Award and the MVP.
When I look back on '68, it seems as though I'm looking back at somebody else's career, not my own, because it was something that only happens once in a lifetime.
Thanks for joining us for a special look back. For This Week in Baseball, I'm John Fogerty.
Thanks, John. And now we hop back into our Chevrolet for the answer to this week's quiz. The '73 World Champion Athletics had 3 20-game winners: Catfish Hunter, Kenny Holtzman, and Vida Blue. No smoking, please. But in case you haven't noticed, absolutely anything else goes. Now, I suggest you hold on to your seats, folks, because after all, these days, it's not easy to hold on to much else. Hey, want to go for a swim? Or maybe something even more refreshing? Hang on, brother. There's more of that coming up. This is no easy life, but there are some small rewards. Well, now up and at 'em for this week's batch of great plays. First, coming off the mound, the Twins' Alan Anderson. Houston's Ken Caminiti. Montreal's Tim Raines. Pittsburgh's Jose Lean. Back to the Expos and Tom Foley. Minnesota's Gene Larkin. Oakland's Walt Weiss. And now the Padres' Benito Santiago on his knees. Not once, but twice. How about that? Atlanta's Terry Blocker. Montreal's Rex Hudler. Expo teammate Tim Wallach. Willie Frazier, California. Milt Thompson, Phillies. And the Twins' Al Newman. Oh, man, how sweet it is. Now to Buffalo, New York. Known for its frigid winters, its spicy chicken wings, and long-standing professional football team, the Bills. Now, the city would love to have a Major League Baseball team as well. But for right now, it's the home of the AAA Bisons, who've gotten so much support, fans have packed brand-new Pilot Field in record numbers.
It's a great facility. Everybody knows that. Major League team, National League, East, challenged the St. Louis Cardinals in 92.
You'll be back again?
Oh, yeah. If I can make every game, I do it. I love it, and I'll be coming to every game.
That's a promise Bison fans have been keeping. The team has had 20 sellouts. Recently celebrated its 1 millionth fan.
I'd like to thank the Bison family and the Rich family. I think they've done a hell of a job here, and very excited. I'm a big supporter of Buffalo. I'm a Buffalo native, been here all my life, and I'm very supportive of what they're doing downtown.
In breaking the old minor league attendance record set by the 1983 Louisville Redbirds, the Bisons have confirmed their popularity by drawing over 1,061,000. A heap of folks.
We've said it right from the start that, we'll go as far as the fans want us to go, and they brought us here to Pilot Field, and now we're part of a record.
It's really impressive, the way that they've supported the team this year. They've done a great job. The team hasn't played real well. We've played pretty good, but I tell you what, the fans keep coming out. They love their baseball, and they're great fans.
And a great beginning for the Bisons. Time now to open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the majors. Boston's Mike Greenwell enhanced his MVP credentials when he became the first major leaguer this season to drive in 100 runs. RBI number 100 helped beat the California Angels and pulled the Red Sox within 2 games of first place.
In order for the Rangers to win in '88, everybody's going to have to go out there and give it all they have.
Yes, and that includes the starting pitching. As Bobby Witt here, he's got to go out and every now and then mix in a 9-inning game. So Mitch Williams doesn't have to get in 85 games a year.
Fear not, says Bobby Witt, who's been giving the Ranger bullpen an easy time of it. Since recalled from the minors in July, Witt has gone 6-3, including his first shutout. And get this, he's completed all 9 games he started, the major's longest such streak in 3 years. You know, ejections come in all varieties to Texas manager Bobby Valentine. Would you believe he's been thrown out 16 times now by 16 different umpires? And manager Cookie Rojas of the Angels made some headway in that direction when he was tossed out by 3 different umpires all at the same time. And it's time now for our Player of the Week, brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Cincinnati's Eric Davis has rebounded from a disappointing start. In a recent 7 games, he collected 3 homers, drove in 11 runs, raised his average above 280. Moreover, 29 steals, 20...
That's all for now, folks. See you next week on This Week in Baseball.